Hey friends, my name's Stevie Taylor. Welcome to the Gig Life Podcast. My guest today is Adm Ventoura, bass player for Ceberano, Jon Stevens, Sebastian, Delta Goodrem, Miss Murphy, and many, many others. We talked about his career, we talked about the Sydney lockout laws and how that sort of decimated the Sydney music scene and what he and his friends are doing to try and reinvigorate the scene. Fascinating chat, cool dude. I enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. Cheers. Alright, I think we're rolling.
Sweet.
Adm Ventoura,
Stevie.
welcome to the Gig Life Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Man, thank you for having me in your house, in your studio.
Thank you.
So you've just come back from a rehearsal?
Just come back from rehearsal,
Yep.
Just rehearsing for a gig next week in Brisbane.
Yep.
For the Australian Women in Music Awards.
Yep.
Which is a pretty big deal.
Yep.
Because it's all about women and Indigenous artists. Predominantly, it's very much about women.
Yep.
In music and music industry and something that is acknowledging all the amazing women that in our industry basically.
Fantastic.
And we're playing with Metania and Queen G for a song that we wrote. I think we're the opening performance.
Yep.
So yeah, we sort of got some.
Fantastic. Is that going to be televised? Or?
No, I don't think so. Maybe there'll be video of it on social media, but I don't.
Yeah.
There'll definitely be some kind of video, but it's not a television.
No, that's
thing.
cool. Yeah, we'll find it. We'll link it in the show notes.
Yeah.
That's very special.
Hopefully
All right, let's roll it back, man, to where it all began for you, music-wise. And you're from WA?
Yes,
Yep.
I am from Perth, Western Australia.
Yep. From an entertainment family?
My dad's a bass player and a singer, and my mum is a dancer and dance teacher and choreographer and dance educator. Basically, she's been doing that my whole life as well.
Yep.
So and my sister's in it. She was a dancer who went into kind of music theatre.
Yep.
She's musical too, but when she went into musical theatre, I think she found that she liked acting, so she has ended up becoming an actor.
Yep.
But we always had music around the house.
Yep.
Like it was a pretty musical house with my
Instruments and stuff lying around and.
Well, not so much. Yes, there were instruments because my dad was a player and stuff. My mum didn't play anything, but we had records. We had like amazing records that they would play, and sort of records that I've grown up realising that they're classic records, and they're also records that have influenced me massively, and then I still hold them pretty dear to this day.
And can you name specifically?
Yeah, well, Earth, Wind and Fire, and George Benson, and a bunch of jazz in there as well.
Yep.
Like the Oscar Peterson and Miles, and also like Santana, and what else is in there? Oh, Fania All Stars and Mad Salsa and Brazilian music. Like literally all the things that it's weird because it's all the music. Jaco Pastorius and it's a lot of fusion music.
Yep.
My old man was a bit of a fusion head.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of that too.
Yeah.
And he would literally make a point of, I remember this when I was in primary school, he would literally make a point of playing records for us, you know, and like sitting there, like my sister was a lot younger than me, but I was probably 7 or 8, and on a Sunday or whatever, and he'd sleep in because he had gigs at night, and he was working all during the week and everything, and he'd have a sleep in, and he'd get up and he'd play records, and he used to sort of go, oh, check this out, and he'd play us the side of a record or maybe the whole record, and I used to sit there and listen to the whole thing, you know, and some of the stuff I remember kind of being kind of like, oh wow, and, recognising kind of that music and kind of digging it. And,
it's so good, eh?
and I didn't sort of think about it at the time, but it was just sort of like feeding my ear, really.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty cool. And then the second I kind of piped up and kind of went, I think I want to play something that it was in my hands, So my first instrument was a clarinet.
Yep.
At 10.
Yep.
We did like they tested everyone's kind of musical ear at primary school, and about 3 or 4 kids got offered like recorder, flute or clarinet.
Yeah.
And I thought clarinet was closest to a saxophone, which I thought was a pretty cool instrument at the time.
Right.
And so I picked up clarinet, and then basically started to play and kind of learned to read basically and everything. By the time I was in high school, I was sort of in the concert bands and all that, playing clarinet, and I started to not dig it as much.
Yeah.
But by that point, I'd sort of identified the bass, and my old man had dropped on in my lap.
Right.
And I know I just took to it like pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because I was about 12, 13 when he gave me that bass.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time I was 15, I pretty much went, that's it. I think I'm going to be a bass player.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time, he put me into some lessons with an amazing teacher in Perth, who was very massive influence on me, a guy called Paul Pooley, who's a world-class bass player and teacher in Perth.
Yep.
And he, within a year, my dad was getting me to depth for like Greek and Macedonian gigs and
Great.
so I had no idea what I was doing, and I was dying up there, no stamina, and hands, chops dying.
Yeah.
You know, but that was the beginning, and it was great for my ear. Nobody would tell me what key we were in, what time signature we were in.
Yep.
I don't speak Greek or Macedonian or anything,
Right.
so couldn't grow up in more very much Aussie environment, like English speaking environment.
Yep.
Even though my dad was Greek and my mum's Aussie, my dad was learning English while we were learning English, basically.
You just said then you didn't know what time signature. Are we talking 4/4-2/4-3/4? Or did that music go somewhere else?
No, like nines and
right, okay,
nines
right,
and
yes,
sevens and
that's what I'm asking.
and combinations, you know,
Right,
like,
right,
you know,
yeah.
like it was nuts. But I had grown up being at his rehearsals and going to gigs and stuff, and he was like, you know, it was sort of a part of that, the same thing as him playing records at home, like that. It was a kind of an event, but he used to also take me to rehearsals and sound checks, and you know, the smell of stale beer and stale cigarette smoke in speakers and in instrument
Mixed with
cases,
that
which is a
smell
lot
of the
less.
carpet
It's a lot less these days than it used to be,
Yeah,
but
it
that
is,
was
yeah.
very much the smell of my childhood. You know, like I would go to him, I would go with him to sound checks and rehearsals and stuff, and you know, and then on the other hand, I was going to, you know, like rehearsals and performances that my mum was putting on as well. My mum used to do like dance for television and all these big shows with her own school and bunches of dancers and stuff. So
Yep.
I very, you know, the music and the kind of arts were very kind of heavy in our house. You
Yep.
know. I never really was a footy or a cricket
Yep.
kid. I was sort
Yep.
of, you know, doing that sort of stuff. I did do a little bit. I played rugby in high school.
Yep.
But they kind of forced me to do that. So.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah.
It was like you have to do a sport.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Don't know why I chose rugby, but
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I ended up enjoying it. So
Yeah. And you finished school and then went to
I went to the Academy of
Academy.
the Conservatorium of Music
Yep.
in at the Academy of Performing Arts in
Yep.
Western Australia.
Yep.
And I did like a Bachelor jazz music.
Yep.
There.
Yep.
Well, I did like a certificate, then a diploma, and then finished my Bachelor. Took me a long time. I was gigging, like I said, from sort of 15, 16.
It's all good. We got a visitor.
Yeah.
A four-legged friend.
Keno.
G'day. G'day. G'day.
We basically, I was gigging so from before I finished school basically. So by the time I got to college, I was sort of still gigging and everything, and you know, like it was just this is what I do in the day now, and I'm trying to do gigs at night and you know, try to get more gigs and try to meet more musos.
Yep.
And I it seemed like an obvious thing to do at the time, and also the kind of music that I was into was kind of, I was getting into sort of the jazz thing pretty heavily, and then I met a bunch of amazing younger musos who are some of the best musos I've ever played with, and some of my favourite musos in the world.
Yep.
That I was lucky enough to study with. It was still everyone's everywhere at the moment, but you know, I was very lucky to go through with some amazing teachers and some amazing students, friends that we used to live together and play together, and we had it was a pretty amazing
Good
you know,
scene.
good time, and you know, lots of practice, a lot of jamming, and then we were taking it to the gigs. We were trying to do as much as we could, play all day, every day.
Yep.
I probably there's a few subjects that I probably should have spent more, been a bit more into, but I did enjoy. So I did enjoy the kind of connection that I had to all the musos, and then I ended up sort of gigging with some of the teachers, and it was pretty good. But before the last couple of years I was there, I was gigging like averaging 8 gigs a week, and like going up to 10 and 12 gigs a week while I was still studying. Yeah. Playing with like staff and my friends who we were all studying still. And heaps of different kinds of music and everything. But
good paying stuff, or was just you wanted to play?
It was a mixture. Yeah. It wasn't because it was Perth, and Perth is quite isolated. It was like your average kind of local kind of gig kind of money, I guess. Yeah. And a little bit less. We were kind of young fellas just having a crack, and some of the stuff wasn't really mainstream. I was doing sort of cover bands as well, so I was making sort of the cover band kind of money. Gotcha. Your average, money, but like then some of this other stuff was more art music and world music and stuff. Gotcha. And so we were just doing literally every gig we could get our hands on, original music gigs as well. And then, but I sort of ran a little dry, I think, of kind of inspiration a little bit. I kind of really wanted to play with a lot more Latinos, and there weren't as many. There was hardly any in that scene, especially at that time. It really wasn't that, and I really loved that music. It was a really strong part. I was learning percussion, and I was very much involved and studying that music. So that's when I finished my course, I took off to Melbourne. Okay. And that's where I kind of got involved with a lot of that scene, and as well as sort of cover band function scene there, and original acts and the funk and soul thing there over there as well. Yeah. Sort of just Melbourne became an extension of what I was doing in Perth. Yep. I moved there when I was about 23. Okay. And then was there for a few years. Yep. That was a bit of a blur, but it was good fun. Yeah, got through it. Oh, it was amazing, like I met, all amazing musicians, got to play with some great people. That's why I started playing with some of the more famous Australian artists. Yep. So who was the first? So I sort of, I backed a few kind of close to famous people, but then I hooked up with Phil Ceberano, and I was playing with his indie original band, who were sort of doing all the touring and the van and the trailer on the back, and doing a whole bunch of stuff. And sort of via that connection, I ended up playing with his sister Kate, who was wonderful. She was really beautiful, really cool person to work with. They're very lovely people. Yep. The band was amazing. Really just all top end musos. Phil plays guitar, doesn't he? Phil plays guitar. Yeah. And so we kind of ended up playing with them. But at the same time, I also hooked up with Vika and Linda Bull. Yep. Who I've always been a fan of as well. And this is after Black Sorrows for them? Oh, very much so. Yeah, they were doing their own thing. They're doing it at that stage. Yeah. I mean, I think. Sorry, I'm just trying to plot time. This is in like the early 2000s. 2000s, okay. So now, gotcha. So they definitely weren't with the Black Sorrows at that time. Yeah. I think it'd been a while since they'd been, because they were doing their own thing, and then they would guest on other people's stuff. They still do that kind of stuff. Yeah. With Paul Kelly and Renee Gayer and stuff. But they were doing a lot of their own gigs, and I sort of I was very lucky to get into their band, and there was just amazing players in that band, legendary players. John Watson on drums. Oh man, I love that. Yeah. One memory I've got very early on playing is I got Daryl Braithwaite's Rise album, and John Watson plays on that, and I must have learned every fill. That was my main practice album. That one, Yeah. It was, and even with because he played with James Rain as well. And just awesome, fantastic. He was amazing. It was hard on me at the beginning.
Okay.
It was hard on me at the beginning.
Right.
But you know, like I was full of beans and I had no idea.
Yeah.
Where it was going.
Yep.
And he was definitely awesome in giving me a bit of direction
It's cool to hear a story.
as a young muso.
Yeah.
And you know, I think he grew to like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I certainly really loved playing with him, and you know, by the sort of end of my time with them, you know, it felt like it was pretty mutual. Like I'd play with them all again in a heartbeat. You know,
awesome.
they're wonderful musicians, and but also there were other players in the band that were just top notch, and people that were coming in and out of the band as well. Because Watto was like off with James and another like. I look at Rose Tattoo, and you know, he's everywhere, and so like there were other musicians, other drummers, and guitarists that were just great friends of mine that I'd been playing with in the scene for years, and then I was sort of playing with them with these great artists. I got to record an album with them, and
great.
And then I kind of got a little bit sort of lost in kind of what I forgot what it was that I was doing. My aim, you know, at the beginning, and that was kind of like I sort of wanted to go travelling, but I sort of got caught up sort of working, you know, and you sort of just forget and you kind of keep going. Everybody tended to spend.
Would you call it a rut? Was it a
rut?
rut?
I think it was a rut because once I realised that I'd sort of overstayed what I thought I was going to be doing there, I kind of went, oh, what am I doing? You know, what you know, have I hit the point? You know, have I hit have I really hit it? You know what I mean? What am I doing now? And I felt like I really need to go and see kind of like for myself, kind of like my musical meccas.
Cool.
You know, which very much like kind of Cuba and Brazil. I wanted to go to New York, and they were the kind of main three at the time, like, you know, Havana, Salvador da Bahia in Brazil, and New York. I met my now wife, on a bus journey in Brazil, and London sort of came into the picture as well.
Right.
You know, had never been in my mind, but that's one of the best music cities in the world as well. You know?
Yeah, well, I spoke to Steve Marin a couple of weeks ago, and they
did a good story
about. Yeah, they did. Yeah, and some of the stories he told me about London, I had no idea.
Well, you got like not only have you got sort of like amazing culture and musicians like living there, but you've also got people coming through all the time.
Yeah.
As well, like incredible people coming through. New York is like that. You know, you've got all the gods of music kind of like either living there or
coming through all
the time. You know, because there's cities that kind of they're going all the time. You know, and there's people wanting to go and see great music all the time.
Yeah, you know? That's cool.
But so that I sort of went away and came back, and when I came back, it was about the end of 2005, I think. And,
sorry, were you playing when you were away?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sort of jamming and sort of practicing.
Right.
I thought I might never come back, and then but then I sort of probably should have focused a bit more on actually working, you know, but I kind of ended up just kind of like absorbing all the places that I was in. So like my main hang was in Cuba and in Brazil, and I was studying the languages and studying the music pretty heavily, and you know, kind of picking up new instruments, and I got into, I don't know if you've heard of capoeira, which is like a Brazilian martial art. I was like pretty seriously into that, and the music connected to that, and so, you know, like I got involved in that kind of sense. And then by the time I got to New York, I just wanted to see as much of the music that was there as possible. And I had a great friend that sort of showed me around the scene as well. Yeah,
that's cool.
And it was amazing. Yeah. It was really, really incredible, and I was staying in such a great spot. So, you know, I had a really good time there.
That's great.
But, you know, then the money ran dry, and then I was like, oh, wow, you know, maybe I need to go home now. Right. And when I came back, and rather than going back to Melbourne or Perth, I landed in Sydney. Yep. Because I thought I used to pine for the beach and the sun in Melbourne, because I'm a Perth kid, you know. And I thought, you know, it's a pretty big city, and it's happening, and there's a lot of great players there, and a lot of cool music comes out of there. Yep. So, you know, maybe I'll have a look, you know. And yeah, I've been here ever since. So,
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I've ended up starting my family here.
Yeah.
You know,
And
settling down once.
did you and your wife come back together? This obviously before you're married, but did you come back here together? Were you here together?
No,
You caught up after.
Yeah,
that's
we,
cool.
we sort of we sort of remained in contact.
Yep.
After we parted ways after Brazil.
Yep.
And then we sort of did long distance for a couple of years.
Yeah, right.
Until,
Cool.
and then by the time I sort of started working pretty seriously with Jon Stevens.
Yep.
And that was pretty amazing because that was kind of via my Melbourne connections, and
Right.
moved here, and it was about a month after I got here. I was asked to fill in on about 8 gigs, and that grew up to about 30 gigs.
Yeah.
And that grew up to him asking me to, you know, what I was doing next year.
Oh, cool.
And then that ended up going for over 10 years.
Right.
So that kind of connection with him.
Right.
And yeah, so the first time she actually came to Australia, she came on the road with John and the Choir Boys and Ian Moss.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it was awesome.
Welcome to Australia.
Yeah, it was pretty hardcore.
Yeah,
Did 3.5 weeks on tour
Right.
with a whole bunch of fully grown men acting like teenagers.
Yeah,
But
right.
it was amazing. And then she came back after that. So
Awesome.
it was yeah, and that's, you know, that was a couple of years long distance, you know.
Yeah.
But she emigrated here, so
That's great.
and then we sort of set up roots here.
Set up shop.
Mm.
Awesome. That's a cool story. Yeah.
That's the abridged version.
That's all good. Okay, so from Jon Stevens, so that all ended well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look at, you know, everybody kind of, you know,
grow
like we all
apart.
have to, it's not so, yeah, there's an element of that, like, you know, obviously sometimes, you know, you can go so hard, you know, we toured harder than anybody of, you know, like it was really full on in the sort of the 5th and 6th year that we were together, we did over 200 gigs, touring pretty full on in you know, like 8 per year.
Right.
So, and it was, you know, it was pretty grueling. We were kind of out 4 or 5 days a week, you know.
Yep.
I was pretty much jumping on a plane.
Yeah, I was
you
going to
know,
say, was this,
you know, like on a
was this
Tuesday or
vans or
Wednesday.
planes or...
Planes, man.
Yeah.
Planes and vans, you know,
Yeah.
like we would go to the closest kind of large city with an airport.
Yep.
And then kind of go out and hit a whole bunch
Right,
of
gotcha, yeah.
a bunch of places, and then next state. And,
Right, gotcha,
And, you know,
okay.
and then there were corporates, and you know there was international work as well.
Yep.
And we got around a bit, you know. We got to sort of Middle East and Asia and NZ and UK. You know, a few times we kind of got around a bit, but it was, you know, it was full on in Australia. Like, you know, it was because we were touring this kind of acoustic thing of the show.
Yep.
And it was obviously, it was sort of more kind of really just everyone carries their acoustics on
Yep.
and we go, you know.
So from a timeline, was this before or after In Excess for him?
This was just after.
It was after In Excess, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he left In Excess.
Yep.
And recorded. He recorded one album, like this rock hip hop album.
Yep.
And then he recorded this acoustic album, and the acoustic album everyone sort of, it was really well done. Like all the guys, which were the guys that I joined in with the band, who recorded the album. They did a great album. It was amazing. You know, and I think they just literally went in the studio and just laid it down. You know, and basically we just took off from there pretty much. Like it was just, I think it was an easy act to tour, and just got really busy. Like, you know, we just kept going and going and going. You know, like it was kind of, and you know, you go through that kind of thing for several years. You know, we ended up sort of post that the band kept morphing, and crew would come in and come out and everything. I was there for pretty solidly from 2006. From the end of 2005, literally as I landed in Sydney. And then and you know, such great players were coming in and out of that band. But the sort of last thing that was kind of the end of the regular kind of full on touring was Danny Spencer, Johnny Saluno, myself, and John, like a quartet, and we'd either be acoustic with a stripped back drum kit, or we'd strap on electrics, and John was playing rhythm guitar too.
Yep.
And it kicked ass. It was like a powerhouse.
Yeah.
We were so tight from years of gigging, and we actually recorded an album, which is I don't know. I think you can still get it on Apple Music or whatever,
okay,
called Changing Times.
Yep.
It's one of the best things I've ever done.
Oh, that's
It was amazing because we sort of got together and we just started jamming backstage. It was after all these years, and we just started kind of getting creative backstage on the acoustics, and then we ended up recording. And then through it, John almost died. He had had to have a triple bypass and all this sort of stuff. Like he had some sort of what do you call it? It's a congenital heart kind of issue. That was sort of a genetic thing in his family.
Right.
And
because he looks.
Well, he's a
strong, fit,
dude, but like it's one of those things. It's one of those silent kind of killers. You might not know that you have it.
Yeah.
But he sort of he was sort of thought. We all thought he was kind of bulletproof, man. But like we saw him nearly die at a gig because he was the blood was gone from his face after, and he sort of came back, and that week he went to the get scanned and everything, and then that next minute they had him in emergency, and it was and so we went through all that, and then we finished the album and everything, and sort of just kind of didn't quite pan out, like it just things kind of took a couple of different turns, and sometimes an artist might kind of feel like sort of changing things up in a way that kind of the easiest thing to do is kind of
start again,
put the sound that he's using to the side and move on with something else.
I understand. Yeah.
And so that kind of happened, but at the same time I was also working with Guy as well.
Yep.
So I'd sort of ended up through his amazing guitarist at the time, Carl de Matago. Met him just playing in like a pub in Manly somewhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing musician. He's much more into producing and recording now and writing. But we did one gig together, and then the next thing I get a call, and he's like, "He come play for Guy," and I get there and Terry Richmond's on the drums, and Clayton Doley was playing keys, and it was this soul kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, "This is great too," you know. It ended up sort of being, because I was with John predominantly, I was sort of on and off that gig for a lot of years, but I was always in the wings,
Were you on the gig for the Lionel Richie thing?
No.
Oh, right, yeah.
No. I was. That was one of the times I wasn't with the band.
Right. Because I went and saw him, and obviously watching Terrified. I don't think I knew who you were at the time, so.
No.
Yeah.
That would have been Rowland Lane, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And Carl and Adam Sofo.
Yeah. Just awesome. And then Guy came out at the end and sang with Lionel.
Yeah, right.
Brought the house down, man.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, yeah.
Can sing.
He can sing, okay.
Can sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can all sing, man. I've been very lucky that all the artists I play with, and these ain't even people that are the famous artists either.
Yep.
There's some local people in Melbourne that I used to work with all the time quite closely, and people I've been involved with since Perth days.
Yeah.
And, some of the best singers I've ever heard.
Yeah, you can name them if you want to.
To this day,
yeah.
always my brother Percy Robinson, who's massive influence on me. Worked with a couple of amazing singers in Melbourne. I'm quite closely with a woman called Nina Farrow, who's an incredible jazz and soul singer. Yep. She spent a lot of years in London. And then, then there was like Kate and Vika and Linda, and then John, of course, John and Guy. Yep. So, and also like crew that I now, the gigs that I do now. Yep. I'm kind of involved with a whole bunch of people that, some of the best singers you've never heard of kind of thing as well, because we're kind of like a lot more involved with, since coming to Sydney and being sort of on the other side of being kind of session kind of music, I kind of have to keep my hand in kind of writing and composing music
Yep.
as well, and producing stuff. So
Yep.
you know, more and more I've sort of just been sort of working with that, and I work with a couple of amazing artists like the woman I was working with, Medania,
Yep.
Steve Marin's
Yep.
wife, and
Yep.
but also the amazing Ashley Jovich, who's an incredible, bit of a national treasure.
Yep.
I believe, world class singing, acting, kind of creative
Right.
soul.
Right.
And as well as there's a whole bunch of people like that I work with now, like Daniel March and
Yep.
a woman called Ines and
Mhm.
Marcus Corowa and Mark
Yeah.
Duchesne, and you know, like there's all these people that I run a gig every 4th Tuesday of the month just here at Lazy Bones in Marrickville.
Yep.
And we basically do a trio set with my friends, and then
Yep.
and then we feature one of those singer
Yeah.
songwriters, and we play their music. And you know, sometimes they don't get much of an opportunity to play with a band, especially not like a pretty solid band.
I'll keep an eye out for that. I'll come
Yeah,
down.
every
that'd be cool.
every 4th Tuesday of the
Fourth
month.
Tuesday, yep.
Yeah, we're down here.
Yep.
Next one, you know, I always said the next one's gonna be amazing because it's
Yeah.
like it's incredible. Like, you know, like I kind of live for that that one Tuesday.
Yeah, that's
you know,
great. Yeah.
but you know, like it's kind of just one side. You know, you work, and you do your professional thing, and then you kind of on the other side, you kind of want to have a little bit of a kind of creative,
Yep.
and kind of artistic,
Yep.
outlet where sort of the money doesn't matter. The money matters, but it
Gotcha.
doesn't
I
matter.
know what
You
you
know,
say. I know what
you
you
know,
say.
if you when it's your living, of course it matters, and you've got a family and feed and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But it's nice to not have the to be able to kind of go, I'm working now, and then this one I'm sort of just let everything go and kind of let it all come out. You
Yeah,
know,
that's cool.
which is I suppose that's partially kind of coming from a little bit of the jazz background. I love to improvise music. I love
Yeah.
to kind of
Yep.
make it up, but obviously, you know, you can kind of it can be a bit complex with different styles of music, and,
Gotcha. Yeah.
but the musos that we play with on that gig are pretty eclectic, and they all sort of, it's a pretty wild gig.
It's cool that you got a spot where you can all come together and
Yeah,
it's really good.
yeah. Look,
And you put that on.
yeah, that's my thing. Alma Music is
Awesome.
basically my
Yep.
my music kind of, you know, business or whatever, and that's just a night we've been doing it every 4th Tuesday for the last 4 years.
Mhm.
But it's pretty cool night.
That's really cool. Now, what's the Sonic Mayhem Orchestra? I saw.
Oh, that's
something about
another.
that on-
That's another band that I've been playing with the last
Yep.
couple of years down at the same spot. There was a sort of the time when I studied music at uni, and I could read really well and used to play with big bands, and and then once I kind of left, I sort of started following the dancers a little bit, and the singers and the dancers, and being
Yep.
a bit more, involved in music that I didn't particularly need to use charts for. I kind of weaned myself off needing to read.
I gotcha,
I
yeah.
sort of most gigs I actually try to memorize as much stuff as I can
Yeah.
before I get to a gig, because I feel like I can kind of be a bit more connected with the band and with the audience.
Yeah.
Some gigs you can't avoid it, and you kind of but for the most part, like sort of playing sort of like pop music, sort of covers that you played, or they hang together pretty easy, and you can kind of listen to them a few times, and those sort of it goes in, it sort of retains. It's sort of one of my things is I kind of retain songs
Gotcha.
pretty well, so I can just kind of write down the key and maybe the first chord of the bridge, and,
Gotcha.
and then rock up to the gig and kind of do the gig.
Yep.
And people look at me like, "What do you think you're doing with no charts?" And you're like, talk to me at the end of the gig, and and usually they're kind of like, "Wow, well, my memory's not that good for anything else other than that." It would seem anyway. That's it. But in my job, it works,
Yeah.
But because of that, my reading got really, really bad.
Yeah,
Like I
okay.
actually would kind of go, because it's weird when you know what you're looking at, but in a sight reading situation, there's a bunch of like stress and anxiety that kicks in the moment, because there's other musicians around and you get counted in, and it's very exposing, really, because
It's a good way of putting it.
it is.
Exposing.
It is, well, because especially if everyone can really read, and it should all come together, and if
Yep.
everything's come together, but the bass player is like clanking away,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
then it can be embarrassing, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, like, so, and it was weird because I knew that you know, if I just had 5, you know, even just like 30 seconds to kind of look over, which you don't get that luxury if they throw charts down in front of you at a gig or in a big rehearsal. There's a lot of people and you know, like the pressure's on. You sort of have that panic moment, but if you have like 30, you know, if I just had 30 seconds to kind of look down at it and kind of get it and then kind of like absorb it and then go, oh, cool, it would make it suddenly it would read down more easily. And I was like, wow, this is just purely because I don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, and literally I hadn't done any proper reading gigs. Like, I've done a handful of them in like 17 years. You know, I've been pro for over 25. You know, I'm sort of getting up to 27 soon. You know, since I've been doing paid gigs.
Yeah.
And there was a good maybe 17-year gap where I did a handful of reading gigs and everything else was, you know, if I wanted to write my own charts I could, but generally I would just kind of try to learn stuff down. Just do a few cheats on the set list and then just have that on the floor and then I'd kind of try to vibe out with the band and let my ears do it and you know it was just so much more fun as a musician, but more connected than just being sort of head in the chart.
Gotcha.
You know, I sort of never really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I felt pretty bad about the fact that I let that particular skill kind of die. And then out of the blue, the owner from the club and a guy called James Ryan, who runs the Sonic Mate, it's his band.
Yep.
A lot of his arrangements and charts and a few other members of the band.
Yep.
They were looking for a bass player, and I was like, you know, it was like a jazz orchestra, and I was like, you know, playing kind of original and you know crazy arrangements, and they asked me to join to come and play in the band, and they were doing every Monday night for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. This could be full on, you know, and I'd seen them, and I was like, so the charts sounded crazy, like pretty crazy arrangements, and I was like, you know what, this would be good for me, you know, and it's literally a few doors down from where I live, so I jumped in and did it, and sure enough, like it actually was amazing.
Kicked your ass. And
It, you know, the band ends up being sort of 50-50. There's a lot of improvisation and arrangement in there.
Yep.
So it ends up being a pretty crazy ride that I enjoy very much. There's great musicians in there, great horn players. It's sort of playing in a way that I don't really play with other groups. I sort of, you know, I don't really get called for jazz gigs anymore, even though I love playing jazz. I truly do. I still listen to it. I still love playing standards and stuff. But you know, this is kind of, it's a pretty eclectic band. Some of the stuff kind of is kind of funky, and then you know, then you go into, you know, sort of more straight ahead jazz things, but you know, stupid fast and stupid slow things, and you know, like, and it was a real challenge, and my reading definitely got better. Like you know, like now I don't have like the panic attack when if someone puts a chart in front of me anymore. I was like, and now we only do it once a month now, but it's a fun band. So that's down there as well. We did like the first Wednesday of the month.
That's great.
Down there, yeah.
Cool. And you're currently playing a Delta's band, is that right?
I am, yeah. Yeah, we don't do too many shows with her. We sort of did. We kicked off with an Australian tour, and then we've done a few pretty big kind of events with her. But that's a pretty mean band too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Buddy and Daryl and Matt on guitar, and the Musket Sisters singing and stuff. We all sing as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's been pretty cool, you know. I never thought I'd be in Delta's band, but you know, like I ended up through my mate Daryl. Daryl gave me a call, and I was like, wow, okay, yeah, let's do it, you know. And we ended up, they just released a DVD of the tour, and pretty proud of how it sounds, you know. It's a pretty amazing visual show, but it sounds pretty massive as well musically.
Cool.
Big vocal kind of vibe, and we sort of we sound pretty tight.
That's great. That's really cool.
Almost forgot, like I forgot. We did it, and then it was a year and a half before I even remembered that it was like that they were even talking about sort of a DVD.
Right.
And then there's so that's come out. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it's very cool.
Cool. So you're playing with Karen Lee?
Yeah, Karen Lee Andrews.
Yeah, Karen Lee Andrews. Yep.
Yeah.
Who, for people that don't know, is Miss Murphy.
Yeah. She was on The Voice, and she entered The Voice under the name of Miss Murphy.
Yep.
And ended up getting signed and
Contract.
And and got
the name type thing.
Yeah, and got a whole thing under that name.
I understand.
Which came to an end a few years ago.
Yep.
And
Did they take the name? Did they?
Well, they didn't take it.
Oh, okay.
I think it was hers to start with. I think what really, she's just going back to her name, and
Right,
kind of
Gotcha.
and being more herself. I believe that's what the main thing is for her.
Mm-hmm.
But she's such an awesome talent. That's another one. That's, another incredible singer
voice.
that I get to play with.
Yeah.
We were on the last album that she did as Miss Murphy, which was this album called Dirty Soul, which completely kicked ass. I actually really love what we did on that album, and she sounds amazing on it. And then her record, she ended the relationship with her record label and management, and there was a kind of a big gap, and then she sort of came back to us after like a couple of years and said, like, I've got songs for an EP, and then we went and recorded it at Barnsley's place, mm-hmm. which is amazing. Mm-hmm. Like incredible studio in there, and it came out beautiful as well. Like she's just got an amazing sort of presence, and her voice is just I love playing for her and singing with her. I love just listening to her. So, she's an amazing talent. I feel very fortunate, and we've got an Australian tour kind of coming up, but mainly East Coast.
Yep.
In November.
Yep.
So that actually kicks off at Lazy Bones.
Cool. And who's in that band?
So it's myself. We're mainly doing it trio. So it's myself and Yanya Boston on drums.
Yep.
With her, and she's playing guitar.
Yep.
And but at Lazy Bones, I think we've got a couple of extra crew on, so we might have Ralphie on.
Yep.
On doing like lead guitar.
Yep.
And I'm not sure, we might have a keys player as well. I'm not sure who that is yet. So, but either way, like it's mainly the gigs that we've been doing. Have been trio sort of sets. We did with Broad Beach Blues Festival and we did the Sydney Guitar Festival. Did it as a trio. We done a little residency downstairs in the small room at Lazy Bones, which just killed. We just packed it out at pretty much every time, and we're doing that again in January as well, every Wednesday in the small room at Lazy Bones. There's a beautiful small room down there. Fits about 50 people.
Yeah, nice.
And it's super intimate.
Yeah.
And we do the trio thing down there.
Yep.
And it was amazing last time. Can't wait to do it again. But we've got this tour in November, which are Brizzy, Melbourne, Sydney, and a couple of other spots, kind of more regional spots. But yeah, so yeah, she's an amazing artist that I'm truly happy to be working with at the moment. Yeah, she's wonderful.
Cool. So a couple of your sort of covers gigs that you do, you've been a member of Sweet As for quite a while now.
Yeah,
which is probably the first time I saw you play.
Over 5 years. Yeah.
5 years, yeah. And now you've also got Toru.
Toru is really a spin-off of the Sweet As thing. Basically, we kind of go through kind of busy, you're the ebb and flow of the music scene, you know, like you go through busy times and more quiet times, and like I rely mainly on gigging as my income. So, I can't really afford to sort of, that's a larger band, and we play so well together as a trio, like the, bass guitar, drums thing, and we'll sing as well. We sort of like, let's do a few gigs doing some like old school stuff and a bit more blues and rock and reggae and doing stuff, and we started sort of dropping in a few gigs, and it started feeling really good.
It's fucking great, man.
Better. Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
you played lead bass in that. You played lead bass. I saw you take off on Saturday.
The thing is, like my favorite kind of kind of ensemble to play in is, I think, his guitar trio.
Yeah.
Because the bass, I think that's where the bass really gets quite a lot of kind of freedom.
Yeah.
And, you know, especially if the rest of the band's kind of open, and obviously your bass player is able to kind of open it up a little bit, you know, it can be a kind of pretty cool sort of throw it around vibe.
Absolutely,
and you know, we sort of throw around the vocals and we'll have a crack, you know, like musically as well.
Because you predominantly sing.
Well, yeah, me and Shane. It's me and Shane. Me and Shane Tunney. We share it, but he gets to sit up the back, so I guess he gets to sort of like,
he gets to hide behind his cymbals.
Yeah.
Bloody drummers, eh?
Yeah. I always try to throw, like, literally go song for song, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes it doesn't work out like that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But we have a lot of fun. I love playing with Sweet As too. You know, like it really feels like the sort of family band. You know, like you know, everyone's gets on really well, and everyone's really good at what they do.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's great. We kind of, you know, we work hard. We do our job well. Yeah. You know, but we have massive laughs while we're at it. You know.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's having fun. You know, like it's a band to party to, and
it's a band that loves tequila.
And the band likes to party as well.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But yeah, it's you know, it's good to have like a local kind of, you know, gig that's solid. They're solid too. They've been around for so long.
Yep.
You know, and you know, it just feels, you know, it can feel pretty. You know, the music industry and the scene can feel pretty nebulous sometimes work-wise, especially if you're freelancing, you know, like, and things drop away, and the kind of the landscape changes. Like in Sydney, has changed drastically over the last sort of 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, the lockouts and just completely.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that for a
we can talk about that. Don't get me going too hard, mate.
Okay. Yeah.
But like, you know, it's changed. It's changed. It very much has changed since I got here. I mean, I've been here since the end of 2005, so you know, really 2006.
Yep.
You know, it's 12 years, nearly 13 years, and the last 5, I've never seen anything like it. You know, in the Perth music scene, the Melbourne music scene, Sydney music scene, having spent good chunks of time in each. Yeah. Kind of getting to know everybody that's in it and stuff. You know, Sydney's, you know, a big place, and it's hard to get to know everyone because it's so spread out, and it was already quite hard because the gigs are so, you know, everything's so sort of spread out. Really hard to, you can kind of like miss a lot of stuff, but then for them to put such a gnarly kind of like inner city sort of like,
for the people that don't know what we're talking about, Sydney brought in these lockout laws. How long ago? Was it 5 years ago?
Yes, nearly 5 years ago.
And it was brought on by pressure. There was some sort of one-punch assaults and stuff going on.
There were two
main ones.
Two young fellas that got punched and died.
Yep.
But it was like, these were all at 9:30 at night. These were outside of venues.
Yep.
You know, these were
back
streets. You know, there was, but really, what it kind of boiled down to was, it was actually, I think it was pretty much just a land grab, and trying to redirect traffic to basically casino land down around Darling Harbour, you know, the Star, and also the newly forming Barangaroo and the Crown. So that's essentially, I think, you know, like, you make a whole heap of money off selling off all those properties, all those clubs and venues can become residential, you know, like dividable, rentable spaces. Gotcha. And redevelop them into blocks, which obviously Sydney loves their flat blocks, and then also redirect, you know, most of Sydney down to basically Barangaroo, the New Crown, and basically the Star, and all that area where they can sort of, you know, I don't know, all you can really think of is it's about kind of gambling and sort of the money that they make from gambling essentially, and that they weren't getting enough of their kickback from, you know, having a nightlife area like the Cross or even in the city, you know, so it just made it impossible for any of the venues to kind of survive. Like, you know, I think it's an unprecedented amount of like venues, particularly live music venues, sort of targeted, under the guise of, oh, it's, there's alcohol-fueled sort of violent behaviour, and let's shut the whole thing down, make sure everyone goes to bed as early as possible. Now it's just, people just don't want to come in the city anymore, because it's a drag, the transport's terrible, it's
they've created fear as well.
Yeah.
Just created this fear that
right.
people think that these people that have been moved away from King's
They've
Cross
actually
and
made-
these other areas now. And
They've actually made a lot of these
It's not
areas
the
more
case.
dangerous because now in the city it's dead. It's dead. Like you can walk down the streets of the city, after midnight, and it's just a ghost town. I think that's more dangerous than than having heaps of people on the street, whether they're sober or drunk or whatever. I don't think it's Anyway, it's it definitely wasn't the right thing to do, and it definitely wasn't about any kids dying from getting punched, getting king hit and hitting their head on the concrete.
Yep.
There were probably other things that they could have done to kind of curb that kind of violence.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely did involve closing every nightclub and live music venue, which is what they indirectly did by basically shortening the hours that they could operate.
Yep.
So it made it completely unviable for them to support, in particular, live music and restaurants that have been going for decades got closed.
Yep.
The entire nightlife of the city, King's Cross and the city got just decimated. And it pushed it out to other areas like Newtown and Marrickville.
Yep.
And Glebe got a bit of a vibe, but now the problem is because they're developing all those areas. There's these new little spots are getting shut down from noise complaints. So it's a pretty strange climate. But like I said, playing with the, there's a bunch of us that are still gigging pretty hard. We're not going anywhere.
No, that's good.
Everybody's sort of trying their hardest, but you just got to kind of adapt to the situation, really. There's a lot of people leaving. There's a lot of people leaving from Melbourne.
Yep.
Melbourne's just gone from strength to strength.
A lot of people go north too.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I've got a lot of good friends that have gone like northern New South Wales and Goldie and Brizzy and stuff.
Yep.
Just to take a bit of pressure off financially, and it's a bit more welcoming.
Yep.
In terms of what's happening in terms of like live music culture and band culture and stuff like that. So it's been pretty tough here. I know there's a lot of people that really want it to happen. We're in contact with venues that really want it to happen, but they're just fighting the licensing cops all the way. Just all of them. Like all of them, even doing everything as much as they can by the book, to make it happen. They're still getting, licensing cops come through with dogs and come through this and that and nitpicking at that and, holding the general manager out the front of the venue for an hour while they're peaking upstairs when he needs to be working and, working the bar and, it's sort of really stupid things. Just harassing kind of people who are just trying to kind of keep the nightlife going here. And, it's been pretty strange.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we, maybe we're seeing the end of it, but we still haven't got that. That government is still in power, so and they're not changing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the scene is kind of adapting and kind of trying to duck and weave everything. But
people will kind of get used to it.
Yeah, but it's like this. Hopefully that someone's got to give soon.
Yeah.
And I hope it does.
Yeah, well, you guys are doing the right thing, especially holding your nights.
Well, we just try to
stuff like that, and just,
we try our best, man. Like everyone's sort of, I've got a lot of friends that are, super proactive. They kind of go, okay, well, if there's no gig, you can't just sit there and wait for the phone to ring. Like I've always kind of had that mentality anyway, professionally. You cannot just sit there and wait for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
The phone's not just going to ring. You need to kind of give it a reason to ring.
Yeah.
And that
it sounds like you've put yourself in all these different musical situations as well, which
Yeah, I've always sort of spread myself pretty broad.
Yeah, you're not just
to make sure that if it sort of dies off in one area, then I'll kind of try to pick up in another area. So And it's as important as ever now, you know, like I've got family and stuff, so, you know, I've got to keep it as consistent as possible. But yeah, it's definitely, you know, I'm personally, I'm very lucky. I can't complain about, you know, because I've been, especially across this last winter, you know, like it's been really busy for me locally. You know, I'm sort of, you know, I'm very thankful, you know, but I've definitely put a lot of, you know, I've thrown a lot of lines out over the years, and you know, like, you know, you kind of create things, you know, and you know, some of those things maybe years down the track come into fruition, but you know, you got to very seriously think about what it is you would like to do within the industry, what you would like to do musically, and try, you know, and do whatever you think it is that you should do, because you know, no one's got a crystal ball, but you know, do whatever it is you think you need to get yourself closer to that.
Gotcha.
You know, and some of the stuff that I'm doing now is a result of things that I did 10 years ago. I know it. I can, you know, it's very much things are popping up, or like, you know, my friend Ursula Jovic, who's this amazing singer and actor, she wrote a play, and she and I wrote music for that play, making it a musical. And you know, it was across about 4 years that we did that, and there was a couple of years that I thought, oh, this isn't going to happen. You know, like we just wrote some cool tunes, and that's what we got out of this. You know, and then all of a sudden it got picked up by Belvoir Street Theatre at the end of last year, and it ended up being like a hit. And like, you know, we had this amazing, it was called Barbara and the Camp Dogs, and it's going to be touring from February next year for 5 months.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing. Like, and that was something that, you know, literally we'd been writing songs, and she was like, "Hey, bro, you feel about writing some? I've written a character and got a play in mind. You want to write some songs for this character?" She's like this rock chick, and you know, she's got a bit of an attitude, you know, a bit angry. Yeah. And I was like, I would love to do that. That would be amazing. Let's go. And we literally wrote a tune right then and there on my front step, you know, and that was like literally, it was like about 4 years till the actual show happened. Right. You know, and the first couple of years there was a few workshops and stuff, and then there was no vibe at all. Nothing happened for a big chunk of time. We literally thought nothing was happening. And then, you know, all of a sudden they were like, oh yeah, they've picked it up, and we started working on it again, and awesome. You know, and then it happened, and now it's still going. You know, it's going to kick off again next year. So, yeah, that's, you know, these are things that you put energy in, you know, trying to move forward and kind of move towards something that you really like to do, and you hope that at some point, you know, it pays off. You know, like, but you need to make the move first. You know, no one's going to make the move for you, kind of thing. So, being kind of proactive in the music scene and not sitting around waiting for the phone to ring is very important, I think, to give you longevity to survive, you know.
Yeah. I think that's a fucking fantastic closing message. Yeah. And I think that's awesome, man. And I myself and everybody else, I'm sure, appreciates what you do, and it's thanks, man. Great to have you on the scene, man. And thanks for being part of the podcast today.
Thanks, brother. Cheers. And, thank you for having me, man. It's been great.
Bro, all good.
Cheers.
Adm Ventoura, thanks very much, man.
Thanks, Davey.
Awesome, bro.
Cheers.